So good morning all. Today we are going to start with the tablet chapter. So basically in tablets we will be discussing what is the definition of tablet, what are the advantages and disadvantages of tablet, and mainly in our today's lecture our focus is on the excipients used in the formulation of tablet or what ingredients are used in the formulation of tablet. So what is the definition? As you all know that it is a solid dosage form of medicament with suitable excipient. So tablet may be defined as the solid unit dosage form of medicament with suitable excipient. So many medicament, or we can say many active pharmaceutical ingredients, when they are mixed with the suitable ingredients or suitable excipients, it results in a formation of unit dosage form. So that is nothing but the tablet. Now, as we all know that it is a most widely used dosage form as compared to the rest of the solid dosage form like capsules. Now, why the tablet is most widely used dosage form? What are the advantages of the tablets that we'll discuss? So, advantages of tablet. Tablets are unit dosage forms and have greatest dose precision and the least content variability. As just now we have discussed that it is a unit dosage form. It is a solid unit dosage form. In say, for example, whatever the dose is there, that dose of the medicament or that dose of the drug is to be incorporated in a unit dosage form. It is not divided. Like in case of powder, if you want to divide the dose, you can divide the dose in case of powder. Whereas in case of tablet, it is a unit dosage form where in which whatever the dose of your drug is there, that dose is there in a single dosage form. That's why it is called as unit dosage form, and that is one of the advantage of the tablet is that they have the greatest dose precision. Whatever the dose is, that it is the whatever the total amount of dose is, that dose is there in a single tablet, and therefore we can say that there is least content variability. Means suppose if you have more than one tablet, if you are formulating, if you are manufacturing more than one tablet, so being a unit dosage form, there is least content variability, because whatever the dose is there, that is precise. That dose is fixed in a particular single tablet. So whatever the number of tablets are there, they have least content variability. Their cost is lowest of all oral dosage form. So in case of capsule, in case of other oral dosage form, the tablets have lowest cost as compared to rest of the dosage form. They are lightest and most compact of all oral dosage forms. So as we know that capsule, they have two parts like cap and body, whereas tablet is a single unit dosage form. So therefore, because of that, they are lightest and they are most compact of all oral dosage forms. Tablets in general are easiest and cheapest to package and ship of all oral dosage forms. So being a solid dosage form, being a unit dosage form, they are basically generally easiest and cheapest to package, because there are no, what we can say, in case of capsule there are cap and body, so it is very difficult to pack. So in comparison to the capsule, the tablets are easy to pack, they are cheapest to pack, and they are easy to ship also. They are better suited for large scale production. So again, when we compare the tablet with some other dosage form, when we compare the tablet with, say, for example, capsule, so capsule, we need to attach that body with the cap, we need to attach the cap with the body, whereas in case of tablet it is not so. You just have to compress whatever the granules are there into the tablet. So therefore we said that they are better for the large scale production. They have the best combined properties of chemical, mechanical, and microbiological stability of all oral dosage form. Now, very important, being a solid dosage form itself, it is more stable. It is having chemical, mechanical, as well as microbiological stability as compared to rest of the dosage form. Then disadvantages of tablet. So drugs with poor weighting, slow dissolution, and intermediate to large dose may be difficult to formulate as a tablet that will provide adequate or full drug bioavailability. Now, very important in case of tablet, you all know that how the tablets are being prepared or how the tablets are being manufactured. So from granulations, the tablets are being manufactured, or granules are converted into the tablet. Now, initially we have to take those powder ingredients, or initially we have to take the raw material, then we have converted that raw material with the help of binder into the granules, and after that granules formation, those granules we are compressing into the form of tablet. But if your drugs are having poor wettability, if your drug is not able to interact with water, if it is not wetted with water, of course you cannot form the granules with the binder solution, because mostly we are using aqueous binder solution, like say for example starch paste. But if your drug is having poor wetting property of it is, or if it is having poor wettability, so it will not interact, it will not mix with the water, so of course you cannot form tablet of such a drugs. Again, if your drug is not showing wetting properties, so of course their dissolution is slower. Ultimately it will affect the bioavailability of drug. As you all know that to obtain a particular bioavailability, or to what we can say to available your drug into the systemic circulation, that is bioavailability of your drug, it basically depends upon the solubility as well as dissolution. Now in case if your drug is having poor wettability, means it is having less solubility, it is having less dissolution property, so of course it will affect the bioavailability. So that is one of the biggest disadvantages of tablet dosage form for the drugs having poor wettability. Then the second biggest disadvantage is bitter tasting drugs, or drugs with objectionable odor. Drugs which are sensitive to oxygen or atmospheric moisture may require encapsulation prior to compression, or tablets may require coating. Now many drugs, they are bitter in taste. For example, cetirizine hydrochloride, which we have used, so that drug is bitter in taste. So mostly what the production people or what the manufacturing units they are doing is that they need to coat those tablets to reduce, or what we can say, to mask that bitterness. So bitter tasting drug also we cannot able to formulate the tablet, because you can feel that bitterness after administration of your tablet. So that is also one of the disadvantage. So when your drug is suppose bitter in taste, you need to either encapsulate the drug prior to compression, or you have to coat your tablet. In such a cases, capsule may offer the best and lowest cost approach. So if you are going to, or if you want to avoid this disadvantage, you can formulate capsule. So that is one of the best approach. Now, next, what are the additives which are used in the formulation of tablet? As I told you in today's lecture, we will be focusing on additives or formulation ingredients used in the preparation of tablet. The very first ingredient is diluent. So what are basically the diluents? So diluents are fillers which are designed to make up the required bulk of tablet. Okay, means say for example, if the dose of the drug is very less, again if we take an example of cetirizine, so the dose of drug is only 10 mg, so it is very difficult to compress that 10 mg of powder into the tablet, isn't it? So we need some filler, we need some what we can say ingredient to increase the bulk, to make up the volume of that powder. So that's why we are adding diluent. So therefore these diluents are nothing but they are either fillers, or we can say they are the materials which are being added into the formulation of tablet to maintain or to make up the bulk of tablet. Understood? So they are basically added to make up the volume. Now, diluents and all other tablet excipient must meet certain criteria in the formulation. Now, whatever the diluents which we are using, so how your diluent should be? What are the ideal characteristics or ideal properties of your diluent? So, it should be non-toxic. It should be physiologically inert. Their cost must be low. they must be contraindicated by themselves. Say, for example, if we are going to use sugar-based diluents, so those sugar-based diluents we can avoid in diabetic patient. They must be physically and chemically stable with the drug. There should not be any interaction between the diluent and whatever the drugs which we are formulated into the tablet. They must be color compatible, because sometimes for aesthetic appeal, or what we can say for attractiveness, we are using color also in the formulation of tablet. So whatever the diluent which we are using, it should be compatible with the color. There should not be interaction between the diluent and colorant. They must have no deleterious effect on bioavailability of drug in the product, because ultimately why we are going to formulate the dosage form. It may be your tablet, it may be capsule, it may be liquid dosage form, any. Because as you know that what are drug means, say for example raw material, but when we mix the drug with the excipient, it results in formation of dosage form. So what is the role of that dosage form? Why we have converted the drug into the dosage form? To get the desired bioavailability, to obtain a particular bioavailability. So very important role, or what we can say very important rationale behind the formulation of all the kinds of dosage form is to attain whatever the bioavailability is there. So whatever the excipient which we are using, it may be diluent, it may be antiadherent, it may be binder, very important ideal characteristic is that it should not have any effect on bioavailability of drug. So there are some examples of diluents which are most widely used in the formulation of tablets. So the first diluent is lactose USP. So it is most widely used diluent which shows good stability with most of the drug. That we want, that whatever the diluent which we are using, it should be compatible, it should have the stability with the drug. So lactose USP, it is having good stability with most of the drug. Hydrous form of lactose is used when weight granulation process is employed. So of course weight granulation means we are using binder. Weight, the weight is nothing but we are using binder solution to prepare the granule. So therefore we are using hydrous form of lactose, that is aqueous, which is getting dissolved into the water. There are two grades of lactose that are commercially used or commonly available, that is 16 to 80 mesh, which is called as coarse lactose, whereas 18 to 100 mesh, which is nothing but regular lactose. Lactose showed good release rates. Their granulations are readily dried. You can easily dry the granules because water is there, or it is the hydrous form of lactose. So you can easily dry your granules. Hydrous lactose is low cost. Very important property of hydrous lactose. It is having low cost, but the most important disadvantage of this lactose USP or hydrous lactose is that it may discolor in presence of amine drug bases or salts of alkaline compound, that is nothing but Maillard reaction. So very important what we can say limitation of hydrous lactose or lactose USP is it shows Maillard reaction. Maillard reaction means that is discoloration in presence of amine drug. Understood? The second type of lactose is lactose USP anhydrous. Now, of course, anhydrous means there is no water. So the advantage of anhydrous lactose is it does not undergo Maillard reaction, which leads to browning and discoloration with certain drugs. So anhydrous and hydrous lactose, the difference is hydrous is showing Maillard reaction, whereas anhydrous is not showing Maillard reaction. Tablets of anhydrous lactose shows fast disintegration, low weight variation, and absence of sticking and picking. As there is low water, so there is no chances of sticking and picking. But it picks up the moisture when this lactose USP anhydrous is exposed to high humidity. Therefore, careful packaging is required. So you have to pack this lactose anhydrous in what we can say humid proof container. Then lactose USP spray dried. The third example of the diluent is lactose USP spray dried. So what is this lactose USP spray dried? Spray dried lactose is one of the diluent for direct compression following mixing with the active ingredient. Okay, so when we are using direct compression method, in that case, we have to use lactose. Now you all know that what are the methods of preparation of tablet, like dry granulation, wet granulation, direct compression. So if we are using direct compression method for formulation of tablet, so you can go for the spray dried lactose. It also has good flow characteristics. It is commonly combined with MCC, that is microcrystalline cellulose, and it is used as directly compressible vehicle. So if you will prepare the tablet by by direct compression method, you can go for spray dried lactose. But if you are using wet granulation method, you can use lactose USP hydrous. Spray dried lactose is especially prone to darkening in presence of excess moisture, amines another compound owing to presence of furaldehyde. So because of presence of furaldehyde, this spray dried lactose, it results in the darkening in presence of excess moisture. So when it will come in contact with moisture, it shows darkening. Then the another example of diluent is starch. So you all know that it is obtained from corn, wheat. It has poor flow and compression properties, and it has a high moisture content between 11 to 15%. So because of high moisture content, of course, the flow properties, compression properties are very poor. Various directly compressible starches are still being used for preparation of tablet. One of the example is RX 1500. Okay, it is nothing but pre-gelatinized starch. So from your GPAT point of view also, these examples are very important. What is the pre-gelatinized starch? So it is star RX 1500. It's what we can say the brand name or another name. It is being used as a diluent. Then this is the example of directly compressible starch. Now there are two types of hydrolyzable starches also. For example, MDEX and Cellutab, which are basically 90 to 92% dextrose and about 3 to 5% of maltose. So again, another question, what is MDEX and what is Cellutab? So these are also the starch-based diluents, or we can say hydrolyzed starches, in which there is 90 to 92% dextrose, whereas 3 to 5% of maltose. They are free-flowing and directly compressible, these MDEX and Cellutab, and can be used in place of mannitol into chewable tablet because of their sweetness and smooth filling in mouth. Okay, now say for example mannitol. Mannitol, you all know that it is quite expensive. So in place of mannitol, we can use MDEX and Cellutab because they are having 90 to 92% of dextrose. Then another diluent is dextrose. So it is also a tablet diluent. It is available as Cerulose. Again, another name of dextrose is Cerulose. And it comes in two form. Again, it can be available as hydrate form as well as anhydrous form. Dextrose is sometimes combined in formulation to replace some of the spray-dried lactose, which may reduce the tendency of resulting tablet to darken. We have discussed in spray-dried lactose, it undergoes darkening in presence of moisture. So if you want to avoid that darkening, you can replace the dextrose with spray-dried lactose. Then the next diluent is mannitol. Just now we had said that mannitol, it is more expensive diluent. So instead of mannitol, you can use starch. But for chewable tablet, because of its low solubility and pleasant feeling in mouth, it is expensive, no doubt, but in case of chewable tablet, we need the mannitol because of its pleasant feeling in mouth as well as its slow solubility. It is non-hygroscopic and can be used in vitamin formulation in which moisture sensitivity may be a problem. Mannitol formulation usually have poor flow characteristics and they require fairly high lubricant level. So their flow characteristics are again very low or poor, so they are not mostly used in case of tablet which are prepared by direct compression method. Then what is another example is sorbitol. So sorbitol, it is an optical isomer of mannitol and is sometimes combined in mannitol formulation to reduce the diluent cost. So you can use mannitol in combination with sorbitol because as mannitol is expensive, so you can use mannitol in combination with sorbitol. But what is sorbitol? It is hygroscopic at humidities above 65%. They both have, that is mannitol and sorbitol, both have caloric content and are non-carcinogenic. Understood? So these all are the examples of diluent. What are diluent? These are the fillers which are used in the manufacturing of tablet to make up the volume. Then another example, sugar-based diluent. Okay, so these three are the sugar-based diluent, that is sugar tab, Dipac, New-Tab. If you want, you can remember the content also. Sugar tab, Dipac, New-Tab, these are three sugar-based diluents. Okay, but these diluents, of course, they are contraindicated in diabetic patient. Now, sugar tab, it contains sucrose 90 to 93% plus 7 to 10% of invert sugar. Whereas Dipac, now Dipac means it contains 90 to 93% of sucrose. Dipac, it contains 97% of sucrose and 3% of modified dextrine. Whereas New-Tab, it contains 95% of sucrose and 4% of invert sugar. Okay, and the last diluent is microcrystalline cellulose. Now, as I told you, there are so many diluents or so many excipients which have some trade names also. Okay, so it is very important to remember those trade names, like Star X 1500, it is called as pre-gelatinized starch, hydrolyzed starches, MDEX and Cellutab. So microcrystalline cellulose, it is also referred by a trade name as Avicel, and it is a direct compression material. So mostly the tablets which are prepared by direct compression method, they are going to use microcrystalline cellulose as a diluent. It is again available in two grades like pH 101 and pH 102. So one is available as powder and another is available as granules. Now the next ingredient used in the formulation of tablet is binders and adhesives. So binder, as you all know that how the tablets are being prepared. Tablets are being prepared from granules, maybe by wet granulation, maybe dry granulation, maybe direct compression, but granule is the first step, or we can say it is the preliminary stage before formulation of tablet. So how the granules are basically prepared? So we need binders or we need adhesives to bind those powder particles together. So the first binder, or we can say the first adhesive which is used in the preparation of tablet, is acacia and tragacan. So of course we know that acacia, tragacan, these are the natural gums, and these are used as aqueous solution which are ranging from 12 to 25% alone or in combination. These materials are much more effective as binder if used as solution rather than powder. So basically, you also know that acacia, tragacanth, we are not using this in the powder form. We will convert these powders of acacia and tragacanth into the solution, as these are water. These, what we can say, these will form the aqueous solution. So we will dissolve these powders in water and then we will use that powder for preparation of granules or tablet. They are of natural origin, therefore vary in composition and are usually heavily contaminated. Of course, they are natural origin powder, so of course the chances of contaminations are more. Then second example of binder which we are going to use in the formulation of tablet is gelatin. So again, it is a natural protein and it is used in combination with acacia. It is a good binder, and when we are using gelatin as a binder, so basically whatever the tablets which are prepared, they are as hard as acacia and tragacan. So it may be used as a warm solution. So when we are using the acacia and tragacan mixture, same tablets we will obtain by using gelatin also. Then the third example of binder, which is most common, is starch paste. Basically in the laboratory scale, on laboratory scale, we are using starch paste as a binder. So how the starch paste is being prepared, you all know that just by dispersing the starch in water and by heating that mixture for some time, that we will prepare the starch paste. Then during the heating, what reaction will take place? So starch undergoes hydrolysis to dextrine and glucose, and because of that your paste becomes translucent, and then only that paste we are going to use as binder. Now the third ingredient used in tablet is disintegrant. Very important ingredient, because as we all know that when we are administering that tablet, okay, now after administration, how the drug is being released, or how the drug is being what we can say come out from your tablet. So your tablet needs to disintegrate, your tablet needs to break, and then only the drug will come out, because in your tablet along with the drug so many excipients are there. So your tablet needs to come out from those excipients and release your drug in whatever the site of action. So disintegrant is very important in the tablet formulation. Why? To facilitate a breakup or disintegration of tablet when it comes in contact with water in your GIT, of course. Now, different categories of disintegrants include starch, cellulose, clays, alginate gums, and some miscellaneous disintegrants are also available. Now, what is starch? It is the starch USP and various starch derivatives are most common disintegrating agents. Starch is typically used in concentration range of 5 to 20% of the tablet weight. Modified starches like Primogel and Explotab, which are low substituted carboxymethyl starches, are used in lower concentration. So we have discussed in case of diluents, okay, we have used hydrolyzed starches as a diluent, whereas here modified starches like Primogel and Explotab, they are being used as a disintegrant. Again, natural starches swells in water up to 10 to 25%, while modified starches swells up to 200 to 300% in their volume. So therefore, mostly if you want better disintegration, we can go for modified starches as compared to natural starches. Then the another example of disintegrant is clay. So clay such as Vigum and bentonite, they have been used as disintegrant at about 10% level. Then the third example of disintegrant is cellulose. So it includes purified cellulose, methyl cellulose, carboxymethyl cellulose, and sodium carboxymethyl cellulose. They are being evaluated as disintegrants but are not used widely. Most widely used cellulose derivative is microcrystalline cellulose. You all know now, just now we have discussed microcrystalline cellulose. It is diluent also. It is disintegrant also. But it is disintegrant at the concentration of 10%. Then another material which is used as a disintegrant under the cellular class is acdisol, which is now available and effective in low concentration. Then what is this acdisol? Basically, it is cross-linked form of sodium carboxymethyl cellulose. Another cross-linked polymer that is also being used as disintegrant is cross-linked PVP, that is polyvinyl pyrrolate. Then after binders and adhesives, the another class of compound or another class of ingredient which is used in tablet formulation is lubricant, anti-adherent and glidant. Very, very important. Now, why lubricants are added? Why anti-adherents are added? Why these glidants are added? Okay. Now, up till now, we know why diluents are required, why binders are required. Now, what are lubricants? So, basically, these are the agents which are added in the manufacturing of tablet to reduce the friction during the tablet ejection between walls of the tablet and the walls of die cavity in which the tablet is formed. Okay, means once we have compressed the granule into the tablet, now after compression, what is our next step? We need to eject that tablet. So at the time of ejection, what will happen? There will be the friction of your tablet with the walls of your die cavity. So to avoid that friction, now why we need to avoid that friction? Because of friction, what will happen? There may be the what we can say problems in the texture of the tablet, like there are chances of cracking while ejection of the tablet. So to avoid that cracking, to avoid that chipping, we need to add lubricant which reduce the friction. Okay, now what are anti-adherents? So basically, like we need to avoid those cracks, we need to avoid the chipping, we are adding lubricant. So anti-adherent, what they will do, they will reduce the sticking of the tablet to the faces of punches or to the die wall. Okay, now we know that tablet machine, there are two punches, upper punch and lower punch. Okay, so many times if your granules are not properly dried, so what will happen, your granule may stick to the walls of the, what we can say, die cavity or the punch of whatever the punches which we are using. So in order to avoid the sticking of your granules to the punches, we are adding anti-adherent. And what are glidants? Like in direct compression method, what we will do, we will just put the granule into the die cavity. So whatever those granules which we are adding into the die cavity, it should not, what we can say, the granules, they have proper flow. Okay, so that there will not be what we can say, non-uniformity in the dose. Okay, so glidants are basically added to promote the flow of tablet granulation by reducing friction between the particle. Means whenever we are putting those granule into the die cavity, their flow should be proper. Now, what are the examples of stearic acid and stearic acid salts and derivatives? So the most widely used lubricants have been stearic acid and various stearic acid salts and derivative. Like, for example, magnesium stearate, calcium stearate. These are the most widely used lubricant. Then talc, it is second most widely used lubricant. Mainly we are using these three lubricants like calcium stearate, magnesium stearate as well as talc. Then most lubricants are used as anti-adherents. Okay, now whatever the lubricants we have discussed like calcium stearate, magnesium stearate, talc, they are only being used as anti-adherent. Okay, they will reduce the sticking of your granule to the punches or as well as your die cavity. Another example of anti-adherent is colloidal silica. Okay, now the example of glidant, why glidants are added? To improve the flow properties of granule. So the example of glidant, that is your colloidal silica, which is also nothing but carboxyl, psiloid or aerosyl. Very important example of glidant is colloidal silica, that is carboxyl, aerosyl in concentration of 0.25 to 3%. Okay, so these are the lubricants, glidants and anti-adherents which are used in manufacturing of tablet. Now after that, very important, color, flavors and sweetener. So these all are what we can say organoleptic ingredients. Okay, if you want to be your product, say for example, looks good, so we need colors. Then to avoid the mix up during manufacturing, we need color. Means some tablet are white, some are red. So to avoid the mixing, we can add color into the tablets to increase the aesthetic marketing value. Of course, if your product is good looking, then it will attract the customers. So basically, what are the examples of coloring agent? Two forms of colors have been used in tablet preparation. They are called as FD and C and D and C dyes. So coloring agent, the name itself indicate they are nothing but dye, which are applied as solution typically in granulating agent and the lake form of these dyes. So there are two types of coloring agent, dyes are there as well as lakes are there. So dyes, what we can say, they are water soluble, whereas lakes are water insoluble. Okay, so according to the solubility of your drug, okay, we need to use the coloring agent. If your drug is hydrophobic, go for lake. Okay, if your drug is hydrophilic, go for dye as a coloring agent. Now, flavors are usually limited to chewable tablets or other tablets intended to dissolve in the mouth. So, if your tablets are like a chewable tablet, so we need flavoring agents. Understood? To get that pleasant feeling in the mouth. The use of sweetener also, it is primarily limited to chewable tablet only. Okay, again that tablet needs to be chewed in the mouth. So, sweetener is limited to chewable tablet. Now, what are the examples of sweetener? Now, flavor, you can use any flavor, peppermint flavor, orange flavor, lavender flavor, so many flavors are available. Whereas in case of sweetener, most widely used sweetener is saccharin. Sucrose, as you all know that on lab scale, mostly we are using sucrose as a sweetener. Okay, but saccharin, was the only artificial sweetener available. So some artificial sweeteners are also there. The example is saccharin, which is 500 times sweeter than sucrose, but it is having the limitation that it has bitter aftertaste and has been reported to be carcinogenic. So it is showing carcinogenic effect. That's why its use is limited. A new artificial sweetener that is expected to be largely replaced is aspartame. So instead of saccharin, as it is carcinogenic, you can replace the saccharin with aspartame, which is again the artificial sweetener, and it is 180 times sweeter than sucrose. Okay, so these are the examples of coloring agent, flavoring agent, and preservative. So these all are the excipients used in the formulation of tablet. We have diluent, basically, which make up the volume of your what we can say, the powder, or if the dose of drug is very small, we need the filler. Then we are adding binders and additives to bind those powder particle together, so it will form the granule and will compress those granule into the tablet. Then we need lubricant, we need anti-adherent, we need glidant. Okay, so to reduce that cracking, to reduce the sticking of your mass to the die cavity as well as punch, to improve the flow properties, we are using glidant. And then to improve the aesthetic property or marketing value of your product, you can use different types of dyes like DNC dye. You can use flavors in case of chewable tablet, as well as you can use sweeteners. Thank you for patient listening.